Oh, there's Amanda. Oh, hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hello. Now.
Hello. Okay. We are live. Yes. Okay. I can't pull it up on my phone. Hi, Amanda, the Fearless Mermaid, and hi, Alex. I'll fix that, what you said in a second, Moni. But welcome to number 2 stream of our discussion of the Duncan Egg stories. The first one we're doing, the Hedge Knight, and tonight we're going to be doing from pages 26 to 50. And we're getting more, deeper into the story, and it's starting to get good and more in there. And I'm really looking forward to this chat tonight. And I'm going to let my beautiful, awesome co-hosts introduce themselves.
nothing like getting my technical issues out of the way first. Sorry, I jumped in front of you. Steel 510 Rain.
Hi, I'm Lori. Lori would only know me as Steel 510 Rain in the chats in the world. Yeah, excited about the next section of the book.
Very cool. And I am a Moni G. And welcome, guys. Yes, our story continues, our adventure. And I'm trying to just figure out how I can get this because I know my phone will die. So ignore me while I try to figure this out. Okay. Your turn. Who's doing how are we starting this, friend?
I'm gonna let one of you guys start if you don't mind, because I'm gonna try to fix my phone so I can actually type in the chat, because it's not popping up on my channel. But
all right, I'll take it.
Thank you, Lori.
Okay, you know what?
All right.
Thanks,
so all right. So last week we ended up with Duncan Egg under the elm tree, looking up at the stars, looking at the green streak, and the quote about a falling star bringing luck to him who sees it. And then we pick up with Duncan Egg again with the whole dogs thing, and Dunk saying the mother must have sent him to me so I could pay my debt.
So Sir Arlen?
That's where we're picking up. Page 25, 26.
You think that's his debt to Sir Arlen?
I do. I think it's like setting the whole thing up for Dunk paying it forward.
There you go. Paying it forward.
Yeah, and I think this whole section of it is really about us watching Dunk in this little portion of his coming of age story of his late teenage life, and student becoming the teacher, and all that.
Yep. All right.
Do you want me to keep going?
No, I think we got it. Hey to everybody in the chat. I think I've gotten
hello
Amanda. I thought Beatles was Alex. He's like, rather, who is Alex? Sorry.
That's all right. Did you do past page 26? Because there's a picture.
Oh, you can be the picture lady. That you handle the pictures, Moni. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Well, Dunk thinks he's like such a great fool to be trusting this kid Egg with everything he owns in the world. And but that you already said that. I'm so sorry about paying the debt. Okay, so now we start getting into more of the descriptions, which George is so great at the descriptions and just all of that. The ring of hammers from the riverside, where the carpenters are nailing together the jousting barriers and setting up the stand, and all the new pavilions are being set up. And it's in the morning, and most of the knights are just waking up now. And Dunk is already on his way to Ashford Castle, and there is a description of Ashford Castle. I wasn't going to go into the description of the castle, but actually more of their banner, which is orange.
Orange.
I say orange in Alabama. which I was surprised Laurie says it that way in New York. But anyway, yeah, orange with a white sun and chevron on there for House Ashford. And Dunk is headed to the market, through the market, and he thinks it's prettier than most that he's been in, and he likes the whitewashed houses and with their thatched roofs, and thinks about actually having a place to live with a roof that's, you know, that you see every morning when you wake up, and the same walls around you all the time. And that's something that he's never experienced, and something Laurie and I were talking about. This is Dunk at the age 16, 17, becoming the man, you know, leaving the boy behind and becoming the man. And he also thinks, you know, this would be somewhere he's going to take Dunk along with him. So this is egg. So yes, this is he's decided that egg is going to be a permanent part of his life, or he wants him to be. Where'd Moni go? What happened?
I'm sure she'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's going to see Plumber, who is the master of games. Oh, but first he talks to the guard, and he thinks he's like signing up for his master. And I noticed that these guys, like being a knight, and I know it's more of a thing in the South, like from what we've read in the books and how we saw the Starks and stuff, being a knight is more of a big deal down south. And they really look down on people that aren't. And so the man's like, oh, you're a knight now, huh? And when he goes to see Plumber, he tells him that the tournament is only for knights. Are you a knight? And Dunk nods. And this is always mentioned, and now it started getting mentioned about Dunk's ears turning red. And it's usually when he's lying or in a hard spot kind of thing, where he's having to, you know, make himself, what is the term I'm looking for? Play the part kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this is, like we were saying before, like this is all the first time Dunk really has to put himself off this way. And part of it, I think, is just that he's putting himself off like a knight, or just talking for himself. He was always behind Sir Arlen, so now he's that guy in front. Like, he got promoted, and now you got to talk the talk and walk the walk. Mm-hmm. And it's embarrassing, and he gets self-conscious about it. But I think he's doing a great job. He's a man of few words, but they're the perfect word. It's all you need, you know, like the things he says, the way he handles his business, like he's handling his business. He's doing pretty good, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does. I do too. Yeah. And then Dunk, why had he said that, you know, and he's Sir Duncan the Tall. And Plumber,
George really narrows in terms of descriptions when he goes to see Plumber. I've noticed throughout this book, he really always describes him the same way, with this narrow, pinched face. It's like the same description every time, narrow and pinched. Yes. But you know exactly what that looks like.
Yes. Sorry, I'm looking through the chat real quick.
Yeah, so this is where, when he goes to see Plumber, that it's the first real question of, are you a knight? Right? Mm-hmm. So like the big, are you a knight? And it's are you a knight? Or what's your name?
Yes.
Dunk. I mean, Duncan the Tall.
Duncan the Tall. Yeah.
Where are you from?
Everywhere. Yeah.
I squared for Sir Arlen of Pennytree.
And I went back and
he
read
knighted me before he passed. Yeah, and this is where that first reference comes from.
Yeah, and that's such a lie, you know. And I actually had to go back and read it just to make sure that that I was right about that.
Right?
Yeah, he's so full of shit. But he's learning to play not the Game of Thrones necessarily, but somewhere along those lines, you know.
Yes,
moving,
yes.
Yeah, moving himself up.
He's
in the
definitely
world.
playing the part, playing the game. Good, well put.
Yes.
Well put.
And I love how Plummer, you know, asks him, and he says that a robin was the witness up in a thorn tree as to him being knighted. And, you know, Plummer's got to consult Lord Ashford because, God forbid, you know, a knight, someone that's not a knight is competing in this tourney. And let's see. He wants to use, he thinks House Dondarrion, Sir Manfred, will vouch for him possibly because Sir Arlen had been retained or hired by that house to fight in something that they were going through. And so Plummer's like, well, you need to come to have him vouch for you. There we go. There's Plummer.
Thank you, Moni. Thank you, Moni.
Yeah. Sir Arlen served his father, his Lord Father in Dorne, just 3 years past, and he might remember me. And Plummer would advises Dunk to speak to him, to vouch for him, and bring him back tomorrow. And then as he's leaving, he says, Sir Duncan, you are aware that those vanquished in the tourney forfeit their arms, armor, horses, and then you have to ransom them back if you lose. And Dunk, you know, he knows this, and he says he knows, and he says, well, do you have the coin for that? And Dunk's like, I'm not gonna need the coin for it, you know. He knew
such a badass thing to say,
but
right?
there comes the red ears thing again. Yeah. So
something else I noticed about this scene was how Plummer himself acts like this ain't no thing. Like he's seen this a million times almost. Mm-hmm. Like a young guy coming up, like I want to be a knight or whoever. It doesn't have to be a young guy. And the image that came into my head was like when in the show, in the Game of Thrones show, I forget what season, but it's when Sam goes to the Citadel in Old Town and he's all like, I'm here to see, you know, and then the guy at the desk is like, yeah, okay, sit over there. You know, like I'm busy. You know, like you think you're so special, like this is so important to you, but like no, it's not that important to me. And like it's like the same kind of idea. Like that's the visual I got, and just you know, you just love Sam just the way you love Dunk. You're just like rooting for them, you know, like come on. It's like this innocence. You just root for them.
He's the underdog.
And they're just against these like well-established people that are just have been walking the walk for a long time already. But I noticed that about that team, so I really like it. Plummer seems really like no nonsense, and like you said, and he's like, but just a reminder, like you got a lot to lose here, don't you? You know, and Dunk's like sticks to his guns, man.
Yes, he does.
And so the story continues.
Trying to keep up.
And I like the part then next where he reluctantly walked to what he had to do next was go to the stable boys to get rid of Lord Ashford's horse. He's such a softie, but
and he mentions that Sir Arlen tells him to never fall in love with the horses or anything, even though Sir Arlen never practiced what he preached and would like spend his last coin on an apple for the horse or for Sweetfoot. Oh, thank you, Justin. I really thank you. I appreciate that. So okay.
Carrie is way better at this than me. I cannot do chat and look at this. You rock, Carrie.
I'm not doing that great.
Like, yeah, no, you are.
I appreciate that. So yeah, okay. So here we go. Going to meet the Lord Ashford's Master of Horse, and he's waiting in the stables, and it's a long wait in the stables before the Master of Horse is deigned to appear. And Dunk, while he's waiting, hears the blare of trumpets, and so he gets curious and goes outside. This huge party of knights, over like 100 guys with mounted archers and some dressed in all white, and he knows they're the king's guard. He thinks, oh, well, some great lord has come. Who are they? And the stable boy looks at him like, can't you see the banners, man? Like, pay attention. And Dunk realizes that it's the House Targaryen banners. And that's when he sees the king's guard. There's two other, let's see, there's one holding the banner and then two others armored in white from head to heel. And small wonder Lord Ashford, him and his sons come hurrying out of the keep, and the fair maid too, which Dunk is like, she's not that fair to me. Like, what's the big deal? And she's described as having a round pink face and yellow hair. And I had kind of sworn it was something about a pug nose, but I must have gotten that from somewhere else.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. I thought so too.
So at first I thought this Targaryen was possibly Valor. And we'll find out later in a few pages who it is. But this prince stripling goes to Dunk and he's like, hey, take care of my horse. And he says, I'm not a stable boy. And he's such a smartass, the Targaryen prince. You're not clever enough for that, huh? Can't even take care of horses. Oh, could you?
That was so mean.
Could you possibly, like, if you can't manage a horse, fetch me some wine and a pretty wench. You know, just do something. Yeah. And he has curls of silver gold hair, framing a sculpted face, and imperious highbrow and sharp cheekbones, straight nose, pale smooth skin without a blemish, and his eyes the deep velvet color. And then Dunk tells him he's not a serving man either. I have the honor to be a knight. And then the little shit says, knighthood has fallen on sad.
Oh, this is so mean.
I mean, these people.
But I had to go back to our. Yeah, like Targaryens seem to be smartasses, right?
Not all
Who knew?
of them as we get going, yes, but this one definitely is. They think they're better than everybody,
yeah,
and that's mentioned in this. You know, they stand apart from regular men because of their appearance, with the violet eyes and their golden hair and all that kind of stuff. He knew, Dunk knows that he has no doubt he's a prince. The Targaryens are the blood of lost Valyria. This is where he talks about they're set apart from common men. And he knew Prince Baelor was older and that this youth might have been one of his sons, Valor, who's often called. There's a lot of princes. The young prince, to set him apart from his father, or Materis, the even younger prince. And there were other princelings as well, cousins to Valor and Materis, which would be Egg and Arian.
King Darian had 4 grown sons.
Yes, and 3 of them have sons of their own.
Tons of sons.
Yes. And Baelor is the one that's in line for the throne. And so the Master of Horse, you know, he's like, you asked for me, what is it? And he wants to sell Sweetfoot. And the guy's like, I don't have any time for this. I have these people to take care of, and you should go see Henley down in Ashford Town. He might give you some money for it. And
was this when Dunk also thinks back to it's like it is commonly said that Daeron II and his sons had left the bloodline secure for all time?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is that part.
That paragraph.
Yeah, I didn't want it to go by without mentioning that, like, severely ironic line that George threw in there for us.
Yes.
Right.
I just love that
the bloodline was lost.
Almost lost, yeah. Which I need to study. Right. I need to study that more. And if anybody wants to throw in the chat what they know about it, that'd be great. Or either of you two. But so anyway, he asks the master.
Well, it's just that now this new prince is like Prince Baelor was older, but the youth might have been one of his sons. And there's just, then they name off all these sons. And wasn't it who was it that said they were, but this guy was the hope of the family or something like that. I don't know. Is it that one? I thought it was, but I guess I didn't highlight it. I thought I did because it seemed significant to me too, Lori.
What was the line I just said? The line I just said, is that what you're asking? I just found it again, page 32. Yeah. It's the last sentence of the longest paragraph on that page. Yeah, the line of.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The line of the Dragon Kings had almost died out during his father's day, but it was commonly said that Darren II and his sons left the bloodline secure for all time. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm. He asks if the king. Duncan asks if the king has come, and the master of horse is like, "Thank the gods, no, because I don't know where I'm gonna put all my horses and get them food and all of that stuff." And then he goes off.
Details.
Yes, at the stable boy, and Dunk goes, and he's pretty ballsy, and he goes up to the two Kingsguard knights, which are Roland, Craig Hall, which wasn't that. Are we too far behind for that to be someone Jamie? We are.
It's a different guy.
Sumner.
Yeah, I think it's the same name. I'm like 99% sure it's the same name.
Sumner, possibly. And then Donald.
Well, it wouldn't be their sons because they can't, right?
Yes. Right.
Because they can't have kids, right?
Right.
Supposedly.
Right. But I saw this as huge foreshadowing.
How so?
Of Dunk becoming the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Yep. It's all about foreshadowing.
Yes. And Duncan admires them so much, and saving.
And they're really nice to him.
Yes, they are.
But there's a lot of people that are just they're like hunky-dory, happy to be at this fair. Like, people are up for conversation. Like, it's not like, who are you? Why are you in my meadow? Like, everyone seems pretty open in this story time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few, but, the ones that are like in the employ of Lord Ashford that don't want to piss their lord off or get, lose their job or whatever you want to call it, that kind of stuff.
But even with the white cloaks, the Kingsguard, I think we're so used to, we saw in, a Song of Ice and Fire, because they were all kind of jerky, and, like, because the king, I guess, so the king, so goes the Kingsguard, maybe, but. So yeah, these guys did seem really cool to him, and I like the part. Oh, where then the next page where he's like, are you guys entering the tourney? And they're like, oh, because we can't fight the prince. Basically.
Yeah. And this is where they talk about
it all comes down to it. Like, that's how the game ended.
Yeah. Before we get to how the tourney's set up, they do say that Prince Valor has the honor to be one of Lady Ashford's champions, and two of his cousins mean to challenge him. So I found that pretty interesting, and the rest of us have only come to watch. So the two cousins would be Arian and supposedly Daron. I think so.
Darren's supposed to be there.
Yes, because remember they signed him up.
Yeah, we talked about that a little later.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit last week. He's elsewhere.
Yes, elsewhere, in more than a meeting.
Yeah, so this is like the first time I feel like you're going to hear me say, like, there's a lot of firsts going on for Dunk. Like, I think this is the first time that he's getting a glimpse of who's who in the competition itself.
Yes,
he's trying to be in it. And he's got to size up his competition.
Exactly.
And that's going to keep rolling throughout this section of the story as well.
Yes. He thinks about there's three princelings, and he thinks he's heard about Prince Baylor, but doesn't know how much of his father's fabled prowess that Valor might have inherited from Baelor Breakspear. About the other Targaryen princes, he knew even less. And he thinks, what am I going to do if I have to ride against a prince? And then will they even allow him to challenge someone so highborn? And this is the first, speaking of first times, that we hear Dunk, and that he was always called, you know, Sir Arlen always said he was thick as a castle wall. And I don't think that's true at all.
He's got some naivete for sure, though. But then we roll on to the sale of Sweetfoot.
Yes. I'm gonna. Hey, Bravosi.
Don't cry. It's just it's a fictional horse, Moni. It's a fictional horse.
Poor Sweetfoot. We took him to the glue factory. We did.
Yeah, and the guy.
In fact, you're gonna love Dunk. Sweetest. Go ahead. Sorry.
Henley, the guy in Ashford Town. Oh, he really likes Sweetfoot and what she looks like, until he learns that Dunk is looking to sell her, and then he's finding every fault he possibly can. And Dunk is they haggle, you know, about it. And Dunk feels like he loses that bet. I mean, I would think that, what did he want at first?
3,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, I forget the denominations of coin in Westeros, but yeah.
Yes.
3,000, and he gets like 800 or something. Like the worst negotiator ever.
Yeah, 750 silver stags.
Super pawn shop.
750. So
you think it was like shooting?
What now?
He was maybe shooting too high.
Yes,
maybe he was shooting a little too high.
I mean, it's okay to shoot high, but when you go that was too high, in my opinion. But he definitely needs enough.
Right.
And he gets enough for the armor that he needs to buy from Steely Pate. So.
But this is also where he may not know how to negotiate a sale well, but he knows when how to check a coin if it's been shipped.
Because he calls
and, like,
devalued.
He does call him out.
That he does it loudly too, so everybody around will hear it, and then that way this guy has to fork up.
Fork up the actual coppers or whatnot.
Yeah, you silver stag. Hey,
do you guys wonder what? Do you wonder what? Yes, hello, AU Packmule. Do you wonder what character on the other coin that was all shaved down because he couldn't read?
Oh, what king?
Who it was? Were you curious about that? Because
Yes, I was.
I am curious about it. I bet you people know the answer. I don't know the answer.
What is it?
Who's the king on the coin?
Learned friend.
That's the one that's been shaved off, because the ones with Dare on, the king now. Yeah, the third was older, well worn, and showed a different man. And he can't read the name, but he can't read anyway. But the letters are worn off. And
True.
Yeah. And he likes that, like, he thinks it's cool that he bites the coin. He never tasted gold before, even touched it. And I might be going a little bit ahead, but Sir Arlen never let him have more than a couple of coins at a time.
No, because he moves on, rolls on through his next errand in the fairgrounds or whatever you want to call them, and
yes, and
he's super conscious of it, conscious of the weight of his coins.
Yes, he is.
But before he talks, worst negotiator ever. But he says, if I win, I'll come back and buy you again. I promise. Mm-hmm. And he had no doubt of the flaw. And then that she'd be worth twice, because when he went back. So he's pretty good with he knows how the negotiating thing works.
Yeah, he's savvy.
So,
enough.
but he tosses a couple extra coppers so she can get some oats and apples. So that's super sweet. I mean, he's just the nicest guy. He's sad that he had to sell the horse, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, I wrote down.
Hopefully he wins the tourney.
I wrote down that let me find my page here. I wrote that he has a way of Dunk has a way of judging character, and he's probably new at this, and like you said, got to start somewhere, but he's off to a good start because he knows this guy's full of shit, and he's going to turn around and play him again, like he already did in the first time. But we see Dunk, or I see Duncan as the underdog, and every story you have the underdog, and you're rooting for the underdog, and so we want him to get there, and we want him to make it to the tournament.
Well, some of us are, some people don't. I do. I root for the underdog. I root for the underdog, but
yeah, Grape Jelly Dragon. I'm kidding.
Grape Jelly Dragon.
Is that the word?
Jelly Dragon. I do root for the underdogs, and Dunk is an excellent.
No, I didn't mean.
Yes,
you said that.
You got it right, sis.
Okay. So yeah, he's walking around, but he's giddy, but he's anxious too because he has all that money, and that's when he talks about Sir Arlen never trusted him with that much, and he could live a year on 750 silver stags.
But what would that get him?
Toby Faria. Okay. What do you mean? I'm just looking at what
that would get him.
Oh,
that would get him to be broke when it was all done, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yes, and he'd end up being a beggar or an outlaw. That's what it would lead to. And this is his one chance, and he's got to risk it all. He's just got to. There's no other way around it.
Sorry, it's starting to get really lightning. A lot of lightning around here. I'll be right back.
You're fine. It was okay,
like no problem.
Earlier here, but it didn't last very long. So, and then we get these.
They don't live anywhere next to each other.
There's a tropical storm
you guys are
coming towards. I know Florida and Gulf Shores, Alabama, and all that. Where I was over the weekend, I was at the beach. Yay! But anyway,
so it got like lightning thunder out of nowhere. My son downstairs, like, "Mommy!"
Oh, yeah, I had to give my dog some medication.
I can't just give my kid medication during thunderstorms.
Don't you wish sometimes?
If you think it doesn't count,
right? Right.
All right, sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, sorry. It's fine.
Apples, and then that's all good.
All right, so I'm sorry. Where did we
they get
leave
through the town, and he's
now the turning, just like the grounds.
He was giddy about the coin in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like the thing about the dancing bear and playing and singing, the bear, and the maiden fair, and jugglers were juggling, and puppeteers were finishing another point.
I like that George made all of these songs for these stories. I mean, they would be so lacking without them. And I wrote down the Rains of Castamere and what was another one? Dornishman's Wife. And I was trying to think of all of the songs that I've learned through reading the stories and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, sorry.
It's fun too because we have seen the show, so they were able to put it to some music for us. Because reading the songs in the book, you're always trying to make the tune yourself, or I did that with Lord of the Rings. So I love that we kind of already know that song, so we can sing it now.
Oh, does the Lord of the Rings have a lot of songs?
Yes, tons. I mean, not in the actual movies, but
in the books.
But in the book, yeah, there's tons of them, and I'm always trying to kind of little melody for it.
So that was the one
that have with that reference.
Yeah, that was this one that AU mentioned.
And Duck's Lover, I think is that season.
Say that again.
Yeah, Moni, you're breaking up a bit.
And I said hello to Dunk's lover.
Oh.
She said she's still working.
I thought you said slipper. That's what I thought I heard you saying.
No. Like I said hello to Dunk's lover.
All right.
Lord of the Rings could be a musical, AU Packmule said.
Oh no.
Okay, so then what happens next? It's the show. It's the puppet show.
Puppet show?
So Dunk, the puppet show. So Dunk stops by, finishing another fight at the puppet show. He sees, stops to watch the wooden dragon slain. When the puppet knight cuts off its head, the red sawdust spills out onto the grass, and he laughs out loud. And threw the girl 2 copper coins. And this is the girl that he noticed the other night, the tall drink of water. And she tossed him a sweet smile. So then he talks about how he's never been with a girl before. Oh, our Dunk, he's just a little green newbie.
That's sweet and cute. I know.
So,
yeah,
Sir
Arlen tried to. He took him to a brothel, and nothing ever happened with the girl. And he never told Sir Arlen about it. Like he's a little embarrassed about it, but he'd rather be with a highborn maid. Like a knight should be, and if he can't have that, at least
as a knight should
likes him for, and this is such a Tyrion thing, that likes him for him and not just his money.
And it speaks to just his that inner monologue. Just speaks to just Dunk's honor,
pride. Yeah, yes, and pride isn't a bad thing.
Yes. Well, he's such a knight all the time.
Yes.
You know?
I can see that connection. And he is a true knight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not just trying to like get laid or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And he daydreams on kissing her.
Does,
like, it's
so he does ask her out for a date.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he tries.
So this is probably like him asking a girl out for his first time on the first date. So he asks her, would you like to get a horn of ale and
or
with me? I mean, it's all like, or sausage. I had a sausage. I know, like, dude. Okay, but first time he's asking a girl out, but okay. So last night, and they were really good. Made a cake, and she's just like, "Thank you, my lord, but we have another show." So she does 2 shows. Hello, Mrs. Duncan The Tall.
Yeah. Thank you for.
So
thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody. So then he talks about, oh, darn, like kind of disappointed, but he wouldn't have to this one. Imagine. So and he knew how to kiss. That's the line that I underlined because I love that. And then he reprimands himself and he's like, he should be thinking of jousting, not kissing. Like,
yes.
But he was thinking of kissing.
And he moves right on.
So cute. Oh, so yeah.
Oh, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
He's focused. Here's the girl. Other side. Wait, no, the girl. Yeah.
It does. I did write down
the and the dragon.
Yeah. That after he does this, he feels stupid. But then before that, I wrote that he's so sweet and he's trying to be very chivalrous to the puppeteer.
Yes.
And y'all mentioned that he likes the way she runs, the way she looks when she runs. And he wouldn't have to lean down to kiss her. And that there was a girl in Lannisport that had to. Okay, if she's sitting on the table, that would have to mean Dunk was sitting on the bench, like at the table, like, you know, for them to reach each other. Because if she was sitting on the table, she'd have to be standing on the table.
If he was standing on the floor.
Yeah. Yes. I'm Miss Marley. That's my middle name, Lee. Anyway.
But yeah, he does shake it off and he moves right along.
Yes.
No dramatics.
He knows he's gotta get himself in these games, and it's time for him to head to the Dondarrion.
Oops, she's running off. Ooh, oh, ooh. I have to do a second show. But you're cute. But you're cute. Oh. And there's all the people around. So, and I thought it was significant how he laughed out loud at like the part where the dragon was slain at the night and the sawdust blood spilled all over. So I thought that was, but
there's a lot.
Moving on. So there are the people who are.
I was just going to say, I started noticing a lot of mentioning of red with the dragon, with the sawdust, and then
I love that line, the red sawdust. I just love it.
Are his ears turning red? And I wrote like Targaryen connection with that because he ends up becoming, you know, such a big part of the family.
Nice, yeah. I like that.
I like how the description George gives of the tourney grounds, and they're going to have 5 rows of jousting, which is just crazy to me. Like
there's 5 champions.
Yes.
I think they explain that on a couple of pages, but we can just
say but they have to set north to south, so there's the sun isn't in anyone's eyes, and let's see,
great details.
Yes,
those are things I wouldn't naturally think of. I've never been in a joust. I've never been to a joust.
Which I was going to say, as a girl who's not into, I like that they described that too, Lori, because I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and this just reminded me too. Like I've never been to a joust, obviously, but I keep saying this, but all the descriptions of the colors and like just everything about the market, about the meadow, about the castle, like everything. I worked at the Renaissance Fair. I don't know if you guys have Renaissance fairs by you, but one summer I worked as a game girl at the Renaissance Fair at the Test of Strength game. And so like, that's probably the closest thing you can get nowadays to something like that, besides going to like medieval times or something. But like, it's totally how it is. And everyone's walking around with like their fake accents and like all that. But it's totally what it reminds me of. It's just like this gaggle of like shenanigans and fun and like gaming and shows and shopping and even the food, you know, like it just, the clothes, like it was like, it makes me want a turkey leg, right? That's what
oh my goodness.
And the hawking, like we were like, I literally was trained how to hawk in like a fairground situation for a summer. Those tips. Give me your $1.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
It was so much fun. It was an experience I'll never forget. But it just makes me, and so I can't stop smiling as I read this book because I'm just like, oh, I love it. It's just so
that's interesting.
But the description of the joust and all that, like I would have never thought about that stuff, like the sun in your eyes and things like that. You know, you think about it when it comes to like, I think it was like Aegon the Conqueror. They might have first mentioned it. We definitely see it in season 8, but like how the dragon goes straight up. And so when you look up, you can't see it. So like in terms of light getting in your eyes and stuff like that, it's those little details that the average person, which I consider myself to be, wouldn't necessarily think of that kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't know what the word is. Strategies or whatnot, you know, fairness in it. And it's just such a normal thing. They have to set it up that way. I love it.
That's really interesting, Beatles Eternally. And there's a word mentioned, hastelude, when they talk about and it's later on about the Baratheon Lord setting up getting a quick hastelude together. And I had to look up the definition, and generic term from the Middle Ages that refers to many kinds of martial games, but comes from Latin hasteludium, which generally means lance game. So there's a little definition, word of the day for you. And
they're not supposed to be lethal, right?
No, they are. I mean, later on when we read it, like if they fall off the horse, they still are going after each other. I mean, I think I love. Well, reading the chat. Sorry, I think it is not supposed to be that way, but some of them do that. Like once if the challenger falls off the horse, then they come at them with their sword. They jump off their, if they're not on horse, they jump off their horse and go after them. So if somebody keeps fighting and doesn't yield, then it definitely could lead to the death of someone. I don't think that's the intention, of course, of these guns, but
right. No, I think you're supposed to yield, or if it's a terrible mishap. But they want to know how to spell that word, Carrie. Bravo C broadcast.
Hastily. All right. It's HASTI.
I love words too.
LUDE. Hastelude. Their testosterone. Y'all are so funny.
There you go.
Okay. Back to where we were. Let's see.
Okay, yes.
All right. So we talked about we're way past that. All right. And then setting up the viewing stand with the orange canopy and the 4 high back chairs.
Okay, so I have a question about this whole scene too.
Okay.
Okay, so at one point he talks about who he sees there as well. And he sees some of the guys like practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, hold on, wrong screen.
Yeah.
Sorry. You see some of the guys practicing, and like the Brood of Bracken, Lord Cairn of the Marches, and worries he does not have as good a seat as any of them. Does seat in this context mean in saddle or in stature? Or
I think
both?
it's the saddle.
Literally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I just remember that from
note
that I read about Sir Loras and just the better jousters. They're able to keep their seat better than others. And so, I mean, you obviously
I'm suspicious it's double meaning a little bit.
It could be. I mean, you definitely don't want to fall off your horse. So,
but seat in like how he keeps dreaming about living in a castle and moving his way up in the world and stuff.
Oh, I see what you. Oh,
you know what I mean? I think it's one of those like double meaning
when you said
lines.
Stature, I thought you meant like height.
Like, height. Sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
status. Maybe I used the wrong word. Status.
There you go.
Stature?
I got you.
But no. A
bad.
good seat, but yes, I think it is a double meaning. Yeah, Lori, I do. Because yes, he needs to keep a good seat on his horse, and someday, because he is our dreamer, right? He wants to get Dunk to. I think we're coming up to that part, but
yeah, let's get it.
He wants to do good by both of them, and he's very I just love how thoughtful he is. He's the sweetest guy.
So Dunk's never he's never done this before. Like, why doesn't he? I know he doesn't want, because it's mentioned later, he doesn't want. Sir Arlen told him not to let knights see anybody else see how he fights, but he needs to practice. Like if he's never done this before, like that takes some real cojones to just go and do this, without ever trying it out before. So,
and the next scene,
without like
goes into that with the Fossaways too.
Warming up, right?
Like he explains why in the next scene, actually, when he sees the Fossaways. Stefan is the older cousin, Raymond is the younger cousin.
Stefan with turd, to say the least.
And they throw around all their little Apple metaphor trash talk. And they tried to go Dunk into, I don't know the right word, challenging Stefan or trying, like try me. I don't know the right word would be in this context. And Dunk refuses politely and explains to us that not to them, but to us, that he doesn't want people to see him fight.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
And I love how, he's whatever Stefan says about you of the wing. Is that a long sword you wear? It is mine by rights. Like, yeah, this is my sword.
It's mine, I swear.
Yeah.
I'm not lying.
And Miss Duncan says she thinks Miss Duncan the Tall thinks it's very reminiscent of the Ned and Jamie talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, whereas
Good
Ned
point.
was kind of like, I'll keep my skills to myself. I'm not like, this isn't about the game and stuff. So that's our girl, Mrs. Duncan the Tall. And yeah, Stefan was a bully. I concur.
Mm-hmm.
I concur.
And afterwards,
I'd rather be green and wormy, isn't that what?
Yeah, and you know, the younger Fossaway, Raymond, you know, he's like wants Dunk to come in. Do it, Sir Duncan. I may not be. This is some. I may not be right, but my good cousin is rotten to the core. Knock the seeds out of him. And you know, Dunk just shakes his head, and he wants to get to Steely Pate, and that's the happier he'll be once he gets his armor. And so then Raymond comes up and apologizes to him because he wasn't wearing armor. Duncan wasn't, and he was angry with Stefan for the way he acts, and says that Stefan would have broken Duncan's hand, knee, anything he could. Apple trash talk his goal. Sorry, now I'm gonna lose my place. But anyway,
it is.
He says it was wrong of him. He was angry.
You're welcome.
He would have broken his hand and knee, and he likes to batter men in the training yard so that they will be bruised and vulnerable later. So what a shit! Like, really, he's trying to. I mean,
it's a tactic. It's definitely a tactic.
I was about to say, yeah, I get it, but you know, I don't even think Duncan's like fought with the sword ever. He says,
I don't. At this point, we don't know.
Well,
he's trained.
Yeah, I think he's. I think he's trained, but like it was. He already said. He said that it was with Old Knight. He knows that he taught him what he could teach him well.
Yeah,
but he never taught him how to joust. No. They didn't have that kind of stuff. So, but then he's so cool. He's like, thank you, sir, but I have matters to attend. And then he wanted to get, like you said, to Steely Pate. So
who, Miss Duncan?
Yeah, don't bug me, guys.
Like Raymond? Because it describes him as, he's the one with the pug nose, I think, that I was thinking of earlier.
I'm trying to find the description.
Oh. Yeah, square face, pug nose, short woolly hair, but he has a very nice smile. It's engaging. And Dunk, he tells Dunk he has the look of a challenger. So like, who's okay. Like whose shield is he gonna tap or strike or whatever to challenge? And what does he say? It doesn't make any difference, and that he's not going to enter until the third day. And that way, Raymond says,
and the other guy says, that's smart.
Yes, because some of the champions will have fallen by then. And he says, well, may the warrior smile on you, sir. And I think he's going to end up standing up for Duncan when the stuff happens later. I have a feeling. And like, I think I said this the first stream we did. I've only read these stories once, and it's been months ago. So this is all new, kind of newer territory for me. I haven't read it as many times as I have the Song of Ice and Fire series. Let's see.
No, Dunk stalked away red-faced. He did not have many tricks himself, feeble or otherwise. Because the guy said, sir, Grant's come, because they was bullying him, like told him, oh yeah, my cousin Raymond's feeble tricks, he's mastered. And then like, because he's giving him the business. Ooh, the hedge knight has to return to edges. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, like Mrs. Duncan The Tall.
But really, he's just doing.
Oh, the hedge knight has matters. Oh, he has matters.
I like
but it's like, he doesn't really care. He just finds somebody else to battle to try him.
Yep. So then he says he doesn't have any tricks. and he didn't want anyone to see him fight until the tourney. The old man always said, the better you know your foe, the easier it is for you to best him. Knights like Sir Stephen had sharp eyes to find a man's lance. Monk was strong and quick, and his weight and reach were in favor, but he did not believe. Like, so yeah, like, I mean, he knows he's not super skilled. He's doing this just from pure, like, I gotta do this. This is it. This is make or break it.
Yep.
So exciting.
I know. And he thinks if he's only a squire,
what did they say next? Oh yeah,
being a knight.
And this is also where they explain the concept of this tourney.
Yes.
Right, with the Queen of Love and Beauty that we do see in the main series on a lot, actually. Like this idea has been presented to us already a few times. Does anyone want to explain that, or how there's 5 champions?
Well, so at the end of the 3 days of jousting, the 5 who remain would determine whether the fair maiden retained the crown of love and beauty, or whether another would wear it in her place. So the 5 champions wear her favor, and they joust everybody, and it just kind of like went down, right? That's kind of.
And it makes you wonder, who would ever say she's not the Queen of Love and Beauty? And it makes you think of what?
Right.
Elliot.
But you're like, oh God. But this just like lends itself so much to like how bad that was, you know? So
well, there's the 5 champions, and they're already chosen, and anybody can challenge them. And then if they beat one of the champions, if the challenger beats one of the champions, then they become one of the champions. And so that's what ends up happening. And then what you said, Moni, then they decide if she's worthy of being the Queen of Love and Beauty or not, or pick someone else. And it hasn't really talked of any other maidens that are there or anything.
No, this just seems like a showy kind of tourney, not like a.
This is her birthday, and she's like 13.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It was like you said, who would give that to somebody else? It's her freaking birthday for the turn
at her castle, like, you know, her home.
Right. Stranger things have happened, right?
Yeah.
And I think that line's actually in this book.
So she's probably pretty psyched. She's probably pretty psyched about this. We're going up to,
and you think,
this is my tourney, this is my party. I'm the Queen of Love and Beauty.
Yeah, and you and we don't need her perspective because we had Sansa's perspective at the tourney of the hand. So like he didn't have to go into those descriptions, and we get this other viewpoint on it.
You know, I spoke about
just keeps it like it just makes the world bigger again.
I spoke about the Latin word, and then this stuff when I was reading it, I started thinking, because some of the different tourneys like is at the whim of the Lord that's hosting it. So you could have mock battles, wild melees, individual combats determined by lots or the master of games. And it started making me think of Rome and the Colosseums. And they would do like mock battles. They would actually put water in the Colosseum to do the sea battles, to reenact those and stuff like that. So I thought that was, that just drew a kind of, can't think of the word.
Well, and I was brought back to the Rainbow Guard. I was brought back to the Rainbow Guard. How that's what he decided to get his, and when Brienne won, she just wanted to be a part of his guard, and so it was like, okay, you win, because nobody knew it was her. I mean, well, they knew, but they didn't. It was the big reveal because she was a girl, even though she's giant.
Catelyn didn't know.
So she won. So then she got to be that set up so much. So then let's see what happens next. One victory was all he needed.
Yeah, that's the last. So he's waiting until the last day before he challenges anybody. Yeah, he starts thinking about.
But
all the. Go ahead.
I love that was one of the. It was a star one on my page. That's the only thing I have on this page that, one victory was all he needed. Then he could name himself one of the champions of Ashford Meadow. So like he's thinking of his resume. Like he doesn't even care if he finishes. He just needs to win the one because at least now he'll have that on his resume. So it's like, okay,
He actually said the same exact thing earlier when he was with Plumber.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, like when he was like, you know, if you lose, you're gonna lose all these things, and he's like, I just need to win once. Like he's just
even
one step at a time, Dunk, you know.
But even if he goes on the last day, and there may be some of the better guys have fallen, he needs somebody can still challenge him.
Yeah, but
yep. And they had.
You think it's more just the prestige of winning one of the victories that he wants, or the money from it? Because I mean, it's very easy for someone to come back and challenge him.
I think he wants to have a good first experience and walk away with a little bit more than he walked in with.
So you can.
I don't think he has super high expectations.
So you can just walk away.
He has some expectations, but he doesn't plan on like. He's not
keeping
trying to get more than he thinks he deserves. You know, he still thinks he's not amongst these princes and knights and things like that. But I think he thinks he can kind of get his piece.
And then just walk away and nobody can challenge him if he wins.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking more like the whole tourney.
No, I get you. That's just something I was thinking about.
That was my thought. You can talk, Moni. Sorry. Go ahead.
But no, I wasn't sure about that too. Like if he could do a one and done, but I thought it was like a what do you call it? The breakdown.
I guess he would have to challenge.
It's elimination tournament. So if that guy wins, then the next guy. But like I thought you kind of had to. You got their armor and then, but I don't know for sure. So,
maybe
it's interesting. It's interesting if you got to.
He has to challenge one of her 5 champions. And that's the only way he can be challenged.
Right, I thought if he won, then he becomes one of the champions, has to tie on her little favor. I thought that's how it worked. Maybe not. I don't know.
So is the idea that he chooses to enlist for the 3rd day so that there's less people to challenge him and he could be one of the final 5? Is that what you're asking? Like it gives him a higher chance. He has less people to oppose him.
Maybe, but I'm just wondering, like, unless, but I just said, like, if he doesn't challenge one of her champions, he would be able to just walk away without somebody challenging him. But if he did go and challenge one of the champions, then he would have to put the favor on and keep going. So I guess he is not planning on doing that. Is the point I'm trying to get to, and wondering what y'all think about that.
Right. I'm not. Well, I'm curious how this tournament will end.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, here we go.
So he gets his armor from Steely Pate off screen or off page. And he's back with Egg at the campsite. And he happily mansplains his new armor to Egg, who brazenly points out that there is no visor. So Dunk explains why air holes are better, which is basically him regurgitating what Steely Pate said to him about why he has the visor he has. Yes, it makes sense. But again, this is such an awesomely versed scene in which Dunk is talking to Egg, where Dunk is finding himself not the boy, but becoming the man, not the student, but the teacher.
That makes me feel Mr. Amen and John.
I love it so much. And Egg is bold as ever. Not impressed. He's like, but this is for me, but there's no crest on it. But like, this is not pretty. And Dunk's like, I need it to be pretty. And they just have this wonderful little dynamic.
And I love how he's like such a little
Moni got it.
Such a little shit about, well, you know, how'd you know Dunk says, how'd you know I sold the horse? Well, you walked off. I mean, you rode off and then you walked back. So, you know.
Yes, yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I know. He's just like, it's pretty logical, unless like you got in a horrible horse accident while you were gone. But yes,
and if somebody
he doesn't give him like one bit.
Yeah. Dunk's just like annoyed that like Egg is just so much smarter than he expects him to be, and he's like, oh, all the time. Yeah.
Is this when he thinks about no.
So then he says, like,
this is where he thinks about how he likes. I'm sorry.
Like, okay.
Say that again, Moni.
Keep going.
Okay.
Well, that his armor's plain. He doesn't have a crest. He's like, yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, well, do you know how to clean this armor? And he says, well, do you know how to scour mail? And he's just like, in a barrel of sand. But you don't have a barrel of sand. It's like always when I just hear everything he says is always
pushback, snarky. Yeah.
He's just like,
and he asks about if he bought a pavilion, and that's when Dunk, you know, the inner monologue, this boy's too bold for his own good. I ought to beat it out of him, but he knows he's not going to do that. He likes the boldness, and he needs to be bolder himself. So Egg's really rubbing off on him, and he thinks Squire is braver than I am and more clever.
Yet he's not. Carrie and I were talking about this earlier, how much Dunk, as he's coming away from his own boyhood, for lack of a better word, and growing into like his man role, his older, more mature role, it seems like he's projecting he's just projecting onto Egg. You know, like everything he thinks Egg is, because still at this point, he's just this little bald stable boy who followed him to the tourney. Like everything he thinks about Egg, not everything, but a lot of what he thinks about Egg is really just a projection of himself when he was that age. Like how he was like orphaned in King's Landing, how he doesn't think he's too shy to go into the castle, and he'll get there in time. You know, like he just really is. I think it's just Dunk in his own head, growing away from who he was as a boy to become who he needs to be. As we follow him in his like coming of age story, you know what I mean? And it's sweet, but it's not right. He doesn't, you know. Sure. Little does he know.
Because even how he was like little, I know, but even like he's walking through the town and saying with the whitewashed buildings and the thatched roofs, and he's like, I always wish I had a place with a roof over my head every night and the same four walls when I woke up. And I will get that someday. I mean, he's really determined. Everything is just like, this is it. This is going to do it. And then, but he always thinks of Egg too. He's just like, and Egg, like, I want to do that for me already. Like, he hadn't known this kid even 2 days, right? And he is like, he's got him under his wing.
It's almost like it's not a father figure thing, but more like an older brother is how I kind of see it.
Yeah, it's the type of relationship,
well, especially
that doesn't exist nowadays, so it's awesome to read. Go into that world with it. Oh
god, now we got
this is, Egg expresses his fear of going to the castle, and Dunk still thinks it's just a young stable boy's nerves.
And he'll grow out of it.
Yeah, so then Dunk has to go to the castle, right? Did I skip?
No, he has to go.
Right, because he doesn't have
a voucher. They got a vouch for him. Manfred Dondarian.
Yeah.
That Sir Arlen had worked for 3 years.
Did I just totally skipped over that. Sorry. Okay.
It's fine. And Sir Manfred is absolutely no help at all. And he says he's given him enough of his time.
For as friendly as everybody has been, like
Yes.
so far. Like, yeah, this is where he finally hit the roadblock.
Yes, a huge road.
Because everybody's kind of been, everybody's been kind of friendly, like, hey, big giant dude, what's up?
Right.
But now it's like, boom, this is his first brick wall.
Yes.
It seems like he would have ran into this, in my opinion. But okay, so this guy really denies him. Go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you didn't. I was just gonna say I really enjoyed the telling of the Dondarrion history.
Was this the first time we get this?
I think so. Yeah,
I think so too.
The only time. I don't remember this in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Okay, I didn't either. I was just making sure.
So yeah.
Well then, so which history are you digging?
The Dondarrion.
Our friends haven't read it. Right. So what does he say?
On a stormy night, the first of your line, of the Dondarrion line, bore a message across the Dornish marches. An arrow killed his horse beneath him and spilled him on the ground. 2 Dornishmen came out of the darkness in ringmail and crested helms. The Dondarrion, his sword had broken beneath him when he fell. When he saw that, he thought he was doomed. But as the Dornishmen closed to cut him down, lightning cracked from the sky. It was a bright, burning purple, and it split, striking the Dornishmen in their steel and killing both of them where they stood. The message gave the Storm King victory over the Dornish, and in thanks he raised the messenger to lordship. He was the first Lord Dondarrion, so he took for his arms a forked purple lightning bolt on a black field powdered with stars. And if Dunk thought this tale would impress Sir Manfred, he could not have been more wrong. Which I think is pretty impressive. Every pop boy is
I love that.
My father, be gone with you. So now don't
be gone. I like be gone with you.
I ain't got time for this shit, I ain't got what is that thing that went viral on YouTube? Ain't nobody got time for that. When that lady was on fire and she got drunk. Oh, anyway. So now he knows. Now he knows he's got to go to the castle without somebody to vouch for him. But he goes anyway. He's gonna keep trying.
His heart is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think?
Yes, and how?
Oh, sorry. Why do you think George R. R. Martin gave us that story of all stories? He could have chosen any house.
True.
I don't have an answer. I'm just curious what you think. Right?
I know.
Or is it just something to take note? It could be any house that he gave a story about, right?
Right. I guess. I mean, I would have to say because this is somebody Sir Arlen recently worked for.
Right, but he could have
thrown
made up any other house. Right.
But
because we have Dondarrion, we have Beric in the current story. And then didn't the Dondarrions come from I can never say this name. I sound like I'm stuttering. Dundurin or some older house. I don't even know. I feel like there's more to it. I don't, like I said, I don't have an answer. You guys are smarter than me.
I know.
Thought you might have some more insight.
The other thing I thought was curious was that why the Dornishman? Why wasn't he in the fight with the Dornishman? Was that when they were trying to take over there, and that's when the Black Light? I was wondering about the time because isn't Dorne part of the Seven Kingdoms?
Yeah, because they said it was 3 years ago, right?
I mean,
are they part of the
I don't know how many years.
Because with all the thing with Aegon the Conqueror, was it Daeron the Second that brought?
Daeron the Second is married to a Dornish woman, and that's
no.
Well, maybe that's fine.
It would be.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, who was married to a Dornish woman?
The current king, Daeron.
Mm-hmm. So they are part of the.
But this is also what we were saying.
Why? Why would?
maybe that's why they used this story.
And like
Or
we
why
learned,
George used the story.
and yeah, and this is where we learned through like watching some of the George interviews that he didn't have the whole Dorn story fleshed out yet, or even like the history rather of like how that really how that looked in history, how Dorn came in, and this was kind of like the generation in which it happened. So maybe it doesn't all totally align because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the Dondarrion story, it strikes me that it's in there at all. Could have been any house.
Yes. It
But
could
that
have.
was it.
Maybe, I mean, and he had written a Game of Thrones, but you know, he was done with that. That was
and
out.
A Clash of Kings was basically there, I think.
He was working on it. It hadn't been released from the interview that I saw. So, I mean,
Face it.
in a Game of Thrones, do they?
I'm sure this has something.
Yeah, yeah.
We just don't know. But don't you think? I mean, like, because George he doesn't throw out those kind of Easter eggs.
No, he does not. He does not.
I don't think it's usually not a shaggy dog. Shaggy dog that's leading us off into some wrong direction. But yeah, I liked it. I was just like, oh, cool. Cool. That's how.
Maybe it's one of
well, yeah, because that's what's so great about these stories. Is like it's such a great story, and then but on the reread, you're like,
yeah. Well, we do have like the backstories of Highgarden and Lannisters and Starks with Lan the Clever and Bran the Builder and I can't remember the one in Highgarden now. The green
Garth.
Yeah, maybe him. Something like that. And I'm not really thank you, Moni. But I don't know. That's a really good point, Lori.
Okay, so zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket.
Yep.
And then, all right, so so then he actually goes to the castle now.
Yes.
And we get
I don't know what he thinks he's going to say to Plumber in his pinch face, to talk him into letting him compete. So he hears.
Yeah, so he goes into the great hall that wasn't so great. I love that.
Yes.
I love where he goes into the great hall, and it wasn't so great, but Ashford was a small castle.
And the fair maiden,
but he kind of, and there's tapestries.
Dunk's not a big fan.
He's just like
go home. Oh, just got home.
He's just not that impressed.
So yeah, he walks in through a side door while he's waiting on Plumber. Plumber pinch face. I'm just gonna start calling him hashtag Plumber pinch face. And it describes the wall with the tapestries of fruits and flowers. And the first things he hears here is an angry man saying, "More concerned if they were your sons, I'll wager." Let me turn the page.
Yeah, he kind of walked right into
kerfuffle. Yeah, that's a nice term for it.
So it's like awkward.
Yes. So
and he's just there, and because he's so huge, he's like always noticeable. I mean, a tall guy like that, you would. It's like, and he's just standing there being awkward. You know, he's just like probably his hair on fire. He's like, because he's got to beg them to let him into the tournament, and he doesn't have the witnesses. So it's okay. So I'm sorry, Carrie. Next.
No, y'all are fine. Yeah, you're right, Miss Duncan.
Oh well, okay. So they're arguing.
Yeah, there's an argument.
They're arguing up a storm,
and he can see the guy that had just spoken, and he has straight hair, square cut beard, and it was so fair. Wait a minute.
His hair.
His straight hair. I got it. And square cut beard were so fair they seemed white in the dimness of the hall. As he got closer, he saw that they were in truth, the pale silver. I can't speak. silvery color touched with gold. And then somebody else says, Daron has done this before. You should never have commanded him to enter the list. He belongs on attorney field no more than Eris does or Regal. So, and Plummer's standing and he's blocking Dunk's view of who is saying this. And the first man replies, who is Maker? No. Yes, it is Maker. By which you mean he'd sooner ride a whore than a horse. And he's thickly built and powerful. He was surely a prince. And he's all fancied up with silver studs and a heavy black cloak with ermine. But he does have pox scars. So I wonder, would that be from a sexually transmitted disease or from just a sickness?
It could just be acne scars, I guess, but that is another.
Yeah, with all the inbreeding.
Scars. Could be acne for all we know.
And he says, I don't need to be reminded of my son's failings, brother.
Mm-hmm.
He has only.
I feel like you just gotta straight read that whole part.
Yes, he can change and he will change. Gods be damned, or I swear I'll see him dead. So Darren's own father, Maker, is like, if he doesn't get his shit together, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna do something about it.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
He needs to be a he-man, manly man, right? Like his dad made him sign up for this tournament, and now he's gone, and not just him, but I don't. Are you there yet? Whereas he's a night expecting, where he's just like, but he's also missing his other son. That's what it says there, right? It's
yeah.
I could have swore I just read it. Now I can't find it.
I'm sorry, I'm in.
But we're, so that's why he was so angry.
Yeah.
So sudden, all the notice Dunk, right? All of a sudden, who are you? And what do you mean by bursting in on us?
Yeah, they talk about Arian.
The prince with the silvery beard is suddenly noticing.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, Arian is here.
And
he's a better lance than Darian in any case.
Yeah, if it is the tourney that
concerns you, and then
Dunk is able to see who is seated in the high seat, and it's Baylor Breakspear, and they give a description of him. And he seems to be in better shape and than Maker. Somebody said, what was it? Oh, I went up there. Hold on, though. This guy's dressed very plainly, a green doublet, brown mantle, scuffed boots, but there was a weight to him and a sense of certainty. So he's definitely the one in charge.
I love that description. Sorry, I have to interrupt you because I love that description. He is dressed very plainly in his green doublet, brown mantle, and scuffed boots. I love that he says about the scuffed boots. Awesome. Sorry,
and that he's plain. That's not what stuck out to me, but now it does. Yeah.
Don't realize.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, he's walked in on something he shouldn't have walked in on. Like, this isn't the.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Then all of a sudden they zoom around and like totally bust him.
Yes. And it's.
And then this is the night. It was the night that was. Oh, go ahead. You read it.
Oh no. He just thinks he should come back later when
He's the night that our good steward was. Right.
Go ahead.
But this, because he's like, oh yeah, you just busted. He's like, no, this is the night that our good steward was expecting. The man said, smiling at Duncan the way that suggested that he had been aware of him the whole time.
And that's Baylor.
You and I are the intruders here, brother. So he's just like, wow, so cool. Because the one guy's gonna jump all over him, but he's like, no, we're the ones who are interrupting. Right.
arguing
that
with
was
each
really
other
cool. And
about their idiot kids.
Yeah, they really set up
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
brothers
Right.
really well and exactly how we're supposed to perceive them. Perfectly. I
Uncle
already
Jerry.
love Baylor already. Want him to be my king and my uncle and my and at my table eating dinner and like babysitting my child and raising my son at school. Like I already love him so much. And Makar has been compared to him in terms of like his warrior status and that he's like just like a dickier version of him. And then like the little brothers in between are just not as interesting or they don't hold as much, there we go, stature. There's the word for in the right spot. And I also like how it's, again, like I just keep finding this story in general just having like a casual air to it. Like, oh no, we interrupted their thing, you know, like it's like imagine Joffrey was there or something, you know, he'd be like
cut out his
totally
tongue.
different if it was like Joffrey instead of Baylor in that situation. You know what I mean? Like it's just so much more like cool and like, hey, yeah, no, come up, what's up, dude? Like, no, sorry, our bad, my bad.
If it had
And he's
been
like, oh my God, you're a prince. Oh my God, you're a prince. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, what do I say? Your grace, my lord. I don't know. You know, it's just so great. And he's like totally cool with it.
I know, that's so cute.
And Makar knows that like he's not gonna overstep his brother once his brother's like, relax, dude. And Makar's like, and he does. You know, like he's in line. Makar's a dick, but he's in line. Like he respects his brother. You can tell.
Yes.
And they're cool with each other. Like,
yes.
And then Dunk is like, I couldn't get anyone to vouch for me.
Yeah.
Somebody to vouch for me.
He refused. He knows me, says he knows me not. And then he talks about he has his sword, Sir Arlen's sword and shield. Ashford, Lord Ashford, a big bald man with a round red face. So that makes me really wonder what his daughter looks like. Plumber has spoken to me of you, even if it's
I didn't even think of that.
That these arms belong to the Sir Arlen of Pennytree. It may well be that you found him dead and stole them, unless you have some better proof of what you say, some writing, and then Baylor breaks in. I shouldn't have said that. Baylor jumps in and says that he remembers Sir Arlen of Pennytree. And anybody want to?
What was that face, Moni? Oh, you look like you just had an epiphany.
Like jumps in. Phew, I remember. I know he's like, I remember Sir Arlen of Pennytree. The man in the height said quietly, he never won a tourney that I know, but he never shamed himself either. At King's Landing 16, Lord and his bastard of Harrenhal in the melee. And many years before that at Lannisport, he uphorsed the Gray Lion himself. The lion was not so gray then, to be sure. He told me about that. Like, so he's like, yeah. So you know who my knight is. Hooray.
And
so
Miss Duncan mentions that Maker's like, what business you got remembering? I mean, why are you remembering a hedge knight? Like, what's the deal with
and
this?
Maybe I got a little Maker in me, but I thought the same thing. Like, wow, damn. Like,
But he says he remembers all of his foes from King's Landing 16 years ago. You know, he was never like a champion, but he always kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He never embarrassed him, shamed himself.
But wait, before that but before that they challenged Dunk, and he told me about that time, and then the tall man studied him and said, well, then you'll remember the true name I have, no doubt. Now luckily we know this, our hero is very good at heraldry, right? So but then of course the Jeopardy music is playing and he's like, oh no. So he's trying to remember. So it is that the tall man says pleasantly, right? And he enters the list tomorrow. So how can he possibly? What? Oops, I skipped a spot. So, or wait, did my page turn? I'm like, wait, no, that's not what I was reading.
No, it
So
just
then he
says
says,
45.
and he's freaking out. He's freaking out because he's like, oh my gosh, I have to remember this.
his name.
And
Sir Damon
Yeah.
Lannister,
I
the
can't
Grey Lion, and he's Lord
Thank
of
you.
Casterly Rock now. And he's going to enter the lists.
As he shakes his papers. I like
Yes.
that imagery.
Yeah,
and
I know.
enters the list tomorrow.
yes,
On the morrow, sorry.
And that's when Maker's like,
And that's when he's like, how can you possibly remember some insignificant hedge knight who chanced to unhorse Damon Lannister 16 years ago?
yeah. And then
right.
that's when he says he makes
Okay, that's what he said. Well, because we broke 4. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you got it.
I don't think we've gotten
Where
there
he
yet.
says he broke 4 lances and unhorsed him.
No, that was 9 years past at Storm's End when Lord Baratheon held the Hastelude, which I gave y'all the word of the day,
Right.
to celebrate
Thank
the
you.
birth of his grandson.
Love it.
We're gonna teach some stuff on this channel. Just kidding. So they broke 4 lances before Baelor unhorsed Sir Arlen, and then Dunk says 7, and that was against
7.
yeah, really. That's against the Prince of Dragonstone. And then no sooner than he said the words, he wanted to take him back. Dunk the lump, kisses, blah, blah, blah. Thick as the castle wall. He could hear the old man chiding.
One other little note I made to myself in this scene is when Baelor says, I make it a practice to learn all I can of my foes.
Mhm.
In my mind, I just wrote down, like, does he mean Daemon Lannister, the Grey Lion, or Sir Arlen? Or is this just a general thing? This is another one of those, like, on a reread, I'm like, I'm making a note of that one. I mean, we kind of know what happens, but, like, I just feel like it might be a dot.
Well, hold on.
Mental note.
Yeah. Shoot, I can't think. I'm having
Or
a
I'm
brain
diving too
fart,
deep and I
guys.
just need to swim back to the
So,
shallows.
No, I'm just having a brain fart because I was typing when you were talking.
No, because it's not really something you can answer.
Where he
There's
was,
not like a literal answer in the book. It's just one of those like things that makes you go, mental note, like I make it a practice to learn all I can of my foes. But he's asking, like, how do you remember Sir Arlen? But I just think it's one of those things that we shouldn't think that he means Sir Arlen. He probably mean the Lannisters. You know what I mean? Even if it's not like a literal connection of dots, but like, yeah, Mrs. Duncan Tall, well, they all grew up with Daemon Blackfire.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that how, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that how he got his nickname? By Breakspear, by an attorney with Daemon Blackfire?
Girl, you need to ask some of these Targaryen experts training together.
Maybe.
Full of the faith.
Yeah, I'm not a Targ expert, Brian.
No, I'm not. I'm getting there.
But
I'm learning.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I have
know,
to dig
you
a
guys
little
are-
deeper.
you
But
guys-
it's like one of those notes I have.
You guys are rocking the Casbar.
Casbar?
Casbar.
So anyways, he
She knows.
busts him and he's just
That's
like,
her
well,
line.
the tale grows in telling because, you know, he thought it was Sir Arlen, it was 7, but it was like, no, it was only 4, trust me. It was the prince with the broken nose smiled gently. Tales grow in telling, I know. Do not think ill of your old master, but it was 4 lances only, I fear. And at that point, Dunk's like, oh, crap. He was grateful that the hall was dim because he knew his ears were red. My lord, no, that's wrong. Your grace. I know. And he's like, as you say, 4. I meant, no, I never. The old man, Sir Arlen, he used to say I was thick as a castle wall and as slow as a oryx.
And he's on his he's on his knees by now. Yeah.
Right. Strong as an oryx too, by the look of you, said Baelor Breakspear. And yeah, I bet that is where he got his name, Lori.
Yep.
And no harm done, Sir Rise. And it's like Dunk got to his feet, wondering if he should keep his head down or if he was to look at a prince. I'm speaking with Baelor Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, Hand of the King, and heir apparent to the throne of Aegon the Conqueror. And he's like, oh, like you can just, I just know he's like dying right now.
The
So
whole
funny.
the
So
art
then
made me think of Gren. I always loved Gren so much. And didn't he call him Sir Or? What did asshole call him? It was maybe just Arx. I can't think of his name.
So then he says, the old Sir, I can't remember either. The old Sir Owen told me you were the soul of chivalry and chivalry, and that one day the Seven Kingdoms would be safe in your hands.
Yep, and then Prince Baelor, not for many a year still I pray, and then Dunk's horrified, like, I didn't mean that the king should die, so he starts apologizing and all that, and he belatedly recalled that the stocky man with the silver beard had addressed Prince Baelor as brother. He is Blood of the Dragon as well. Damn me for a fool. He could only be Prince Maker, the youngest of King Daeron's 4 sons. The other one, Prince Aerys, was bookish, and Prince Rhaegal, mad, meek, and sickly, and neither was like to cross half the realm to attend a tourney, but Maker was said to be a redoubtable warrior in his own right, but he is always in the shadow of Baelor. And then Baelor asks him if he went into the list, and the decision rests with the Master of Games, but he sees no reason to deny him. And of course, Pinch Face is like, as you say, I'm not going to say shit about it. Yeah, he can do it now. Whatever.
And yeah, something else, just a little anecdote. They're still talking about like the missing sons, and Dunk still has no clue that Egg is one of them.
Egg is one of them. And then he does, Baelor tries to take up for Maker, like, okay, very well. You are grateful. Get away.
Right.
My brother, 2 of his sons have gone astray on their way here, and they fears for them. And Dunk tries to be helpful and say, maybe the spring rains, they've swollen many of the streams. Perhaps they're just delayed. But no, one of them's actually there.
And then he says, like Miss Duncan says, totally freaks out and like, I did not come here to take counsels from a hedge knight.
And I like this part. He talks about he talks about how he needs to get a new device, because if he's not Sir Arwen's blood, he can't use his sigil.
Yes. Yeah, he asks him, and if you don't, so he has to get repaint the surface of his sword from it was a cup with wings, right? And now
the winged chalice,
like this, please.
And he never really liked it.
Sorry, a winged chalice. Yeah. A cup with wings. Like
I remember
a winged chalice sounds much better.
And we end that section with Dunk. In my point of view, I hope your guys too, he's like pumped. Like, what a boost this experience he has with Baelor freaking Breakspear is like, it's bug celebrity act, like everything. Like, and I'm good. I got this. Like, he's leaving pumped. And I think that's great.
You're getting that
Duncan.
Well, and he's
come here to take counsel from a hedge
and
knight.
He's been totally cool with them.
Yes.
Huh?
Right. But like the Baelor the Breaksword he was totally cool with them.
Yeah.
Like it was like
that's what I'm saying. Like when you meet someone famous and you like totally get to rap with them for like 3 sentences and you're like, this is the best time of my life. He's like pumped for it. Like
that's awesome.
And that's kind of how we wrap that little section up.
Yeah, and then he goes back through the stalls
Mhm.
and pavilions, sees some pretty girls, a redheaded one. He can't help
Whores.
boobs. But he's on a mission,
Mhm.
and he's got to get his shield painted. So he finds Egg at the puppet show, which is pretty, I would assume, where he was. I don't know. Do you think he was headed there anyway?
I think so. I think while he's just walking through, I think, yeah, you don't think he was?
I don't
Remember, he just didn't bring, because he just gave him a couple coppers and told him, like, because he was freaking out so bad about the going into the castle. So yeah, I think he was looking for him. So then he finds him at the puppet show, and it's the great one with his other tall drink of water.
I love that line.
Yeah, I think this was kind of a cool coincidence. Like, he finds Egg at the puppet show, and then he, once he, he thinks about Egg and not wanting to go in the castle. Then he asks the girl he likes if she paints the puppets, or what is it that he says? Let's see.
Yes, he does ask her. Wait, before that though, when he walks up on Egg, it's he hears the part in the puppet show where is the morning. I know we're running over, but this is just
okay.
It's the fat woman of Dornish was working the Florian armor. Motley, you are no knight, she said to the puppet. And I know you. You are the fool of Florian. And he said, "Oh, I am, my lady," said the puppet, answered. "As fool as ever lived, and a great knight as well. A fool and a knight?" said Joko. "I've never heard of such a thing. Sweet lady," said the Florian. "All men are fools and all men are knights, where women are concerned." And it was a good show, sad and sweet both, and sprightly sword fight at the end, and nicely painted giant. When it was all over, the fat woman went amongst a crowd to collect the coins, while the girl put away the puppets. And then Doug went up to her and she, for sure, because he's a super. And he said that was good. Egg said enthusiastically. He totally drank. And then I saw the puppet show last year, but they didn't do as good a job. And then he says, "Your figures are carved so well, the dragon especially, a fearsome beast. You make them yourself?" And she says, "Yeah, my uncle does the carving and I paint them." And that opens up the door to, great. I don't know what he was going to do. I don't know what he was going to do if he didn't like run into her, because I thought he was just an egg.
Yeah, so, I think so too. I think it was a wonderful coincidence. He might have could have looked for somebody in one of the stalls or something like that. But I love how he and Egg come up with the sigil together.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
And I like, and it's also like, awesome. It's like one part for Arlen of Pennytree with the sunset. One part Dunk with the tree. I'm sorry, with the star, and one part Egg with the tree.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. I also really like the language with the whole, like, Florian and Jonquil. I don't know how to say that name. Florian and Jonquil. Right. I don't know.
Well, jonquils are also oh God, they grow in the spring.
Flowers?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay.
They are.
So I was like, I know I've heard these names a million times, so I kind of just did a little bit of digging with like, did we ever get like the full story? And it's obvious, and I didn't find anything. If either of you guys or anyone in the chat knows, like, is there a real true fable, or is it just not? We don't know. It's just kind of here and there and bits and pieces. And I think the basic gist is like, Florian, you could be a fool and a knight when it comes to women, right? How many times does Dunk say in this story to this point, what a fool he is? I'm such a fool. Yeah. I'm such a fool. And he's trying to be a knight. And it's nothing like,
Well, Sansa,
that
you know,
hard to spot. I just think it's such a nice way to like tie it in.
Sansa knows the story, and when she's trying to escape, and oh god, the guy that she saved and was made a fool.
Yes,
he's from
he mentions it. Yeah,
she starts calling him her Florian, and
yeah.
Jonquil is they come
Thank
up
you,
first
Moni.
in spring, and daffodils. I think they're the same thing.
Oh, okay.
And daffodils. The yellow flowers. Yeah, I love that movie. That's what I should have named my beagle, Doug.
Oh, so great. So yeah, I really loved that connection. It's just like the story within the story.
Yeah.
I wonder if we ever get the whole story of Florian and Jonquil. Will it kind of mirror Dunk's? And once we get all the books out of the Adventures of Dunk and Egg, you know?
Yep.
Oh, and just going back to what we were saying earlier, they're so cute. I love these pictures. One of us has to get the graphic novel too and use those pictures, but none of us have it, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah. No, I do.
Oh, you have the graphic novel?
I have two. The first, this one and the sworn sword, but I don't have the third one. So yeah, I'll bring it.
Yeah, bring it next time. Oh, but yeah. So I just have one other note on all this, and then I'll kick to you guys again.
The tournament.
Say that, Mona.
Oh, she missed a page.
This is what we're going to see next.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Also, if I could just finish the one thought I had, going back to how I noticed, it was really here that I noticed it, so I should have just said it now instead of earlier, is how Dunk is projecting onto Egg, but in the sense that he uses the justifications in his mind for Dunk not wanting to go to the castle of shyness and shame to boost his own confidence and growth and becoming more bold himself. He says to himself, and we see his inner monologue, that Egg doesn't think he's worthy to mingle among princes, but he says that literally like 2 pages ago. He's like, who am I to mix with princes? It's literally him saying this to himself about a boy because he now feels he's been able to mingle with them, even though 2 seconds ago he didn't feel that way himself. And he's also in turn just as bold as Egg. Like, I don't know if I would have the guts to go around and do all these things amongst all these seasoned men and knights as he does in this.
Yeah.
It's his age, and it's his knowing that he doesn't want to end up, like he says, living under a hedge or dying on by the side of a muddy road, like Sir Arlen. So he's learned from all that experience and being raised by Sir Arlen that that's not the way he wants to live. So
thanks, Mrs. Duncan.
Yeah,
I know. I love it.
I would see.
I guess.
I want to hear yours too.
Now?
Definitely. I would see Lori in chats, and I always thought she had such great comments. So I reached out to her, and I got her on my stream. I grabbed her.
So I think from 52 to, is it the end? No? I don't.
No, I read through
I didn't look ahead.
I read through, and next week we're going to end on page 75 to 76, and it's right before the tourney starts, but a bunch of stuff happens.
Okay.
With Duncan, and it's pretty exciting. And you guys, just to let you know,
with our unlikely heroes.
Yes. For next week, it's going to be on Wednesday. My daughter has college orientation, and it's online from 8 to 5 all day, every day next week. And so we're going to be on, we'll put the link up, but it will be Wednesday next week and possibly a little bit later too. I'm going to try to do it right at 7 like we've been doing, but it might be 30 minutes or, a little bit, maybe 7:30 or 8. And that's my time. So that's central. So it would be 8. Wait,
Eastern.
Yeah.
y'all got it.
8:30 Eastern. Yeah.
Maybe I have had too many beers tonight. I don't know.
8:30.
I just live in Eastern, so it matters to me. Eastern.
Well, I'm jealous.
And for years, I've thought Moni lived in
So
Central.
that
So
I know. Well, people, I know. We just we latched onto that East Coast to be cool.
yeah, I actually know what that means. Beatles Eternally. Erudite. Thank you so much. Tip a coin to your wisher. That's one we need to talk about. That'd be fun. I read something. I think in Deep Geek put it out.
That would be fun.
Going to start filming season 2. So
Yeah, I like The Witcher too. Yeah, a lot more than the Seven Kingdoms, though.
yes, and this has been.
Thank you so much, everybody who's come.
Yes. Homework. Exactly.
Beatles Eternally and Bravo Broadcast.
Yep. Miss Duncan the
Mrs.
Tall.
Duncan the Tall and Robbie Wartburg. Thanks for coming by. Let's see. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Peter Griffin. And I know.
Lloyd.
That was
I haven't listened.
Thanks, Teal Rain.
Sorry, I think I'm breaking up a little bit.
Oh,
but yeah, thanks again, Carrie, for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and I'm
having such a good time, and thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Carrie. How's Warford?
Special guest next week, Justin Thomas. And
is it next week?
Yes, and we'll be having other guests too. So
reach out.
Yes, definitely. Oh, thank you, Miss Duncan.
Anybody else? Did I miss anybody?
I don't think so. I think you got everybody.
So thank you.
Hello. So
I think I'm breaking in and out. Hello?
You are a little bit.
Yes.
So we're gonna say good night. And
I know.
So sorry.
Yes.
And Peter Griffin, I am all caught up on my rewatch of Dark season 1 and 2. By the way, we need to find someone to stream about that. Just a side note. I know Peter Griffin likes Dark.
I put that on my list.
Like I said, I got sucked into it a couple times.
I put it on my list, Lori. So I'm gonna start.
Well, we went over. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week Wednesday, like 8:30, 9 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
All right. Hold on. Yes.